Sushruta for NEET is now available on the Google Play Store. Try it out for free.
Hi, my dear students. Hearty welcome to JnanaMarga URA class. I am Professor G.K Bhat. In the last class, we have started speaking about a geochemical cycle. Right? So, what is this geochemical cycle? Otherwise called Blessy?
Nitrogen cycle.
Pardon?
Nutrient cycle.
Nutrient cycle. Which are the examples? Basically, there are two types of biogeochemical cycle. Depending on which one is the reservoir. What are these two cycles?
Gaseous and sedimentary
Gaseous and
cycle.
sedimentary.
Gaseous and sedimentary. Now, Aisha.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me the example for gaseous type of cycle?
Oxygen.
Then?
Nitrogen.
Then?
Carbon cycle.
Carbon cycle. Okay. Jyoti, can you tell me the examples for sedimentary cycle? Jyoti?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Phosphorus cycle.
Only one?
Yes, sir.
Only one? Namrata?
And sulfur.
And sulfur. Jyoti, sulfur is also. Sulfur and phosphorus, these are the two cycles pertaining to sedimentary cycle. What is the difference between these two cycles? Rakesh?
Yes, sir.
Answer the question.
The difference between the gaseous and sedimentary cycle is that gaseous cycle it occurs reservoir is in the sedimentary reservoir is in the earth crust, sir. And then the gaseous cycles reservoir is in the atmosphere.
Okay. So, this is what we have studied in the last class. Now, we shall take up an example for gaseous type of cycle, that is carbon cycle. Okay. As I've been referring to this one minute. Please give the attendance. Anand Tirtha students, Charan, Chinmayi, Harshavardhan, Siddesh, Sarvottam, Aisha,
Yes,
Blessy,
sir.
Kanisa, Janani,
Yes, sir.
Kavita,
Yes, sir.
Navya,
Yes, sir.
Tanusri,
Yes, sir.
Jayasri, Tanusri,
Yes.
Jayasri,
Yes, sir.
Ismita, Nadira.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prithviraj,
Yes, sir.
Lohit,
Yes, sir.
Namrata,
Yes, sir.
Jyoti, okay.
Yes, sir.
So, we are now studying the example, one of the example for gaseous type of biogeochemical cycle, that is the carbon cycle. When you look into the composition of living organisms, carbon constitutes 49% of the dry weight of organisms and is next only to water. Carbon constitutes 49% dry weight of the organisms. You are aware that 90% of the cell protoplasm is of water. If you look into the other chemical component which is very rich in each and every cell, that is the carbon. If you look at the total quantity of global carbon, how much carbon is present in entire Earth, whole biosphere? We find that 71% is found dissolved in ocean. Very, very important. 71% of the carbon is found dissolved in the ocean. This oceanic reservoir regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Whenever the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere comes down, from the ocean, dissolved carbon dioxide diffuses out into the atmosphere. So, the main reservoir for the carbon is the ocean. The oceanic reservoir, it regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Do you know that the atmosphere only contains about 1% of total global carbon? What is that percentage on the other day we have studied? How much? What is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Care? What is the proportion? Prithviraj?
Yes, sir.
What is the answer? Navya? How much carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere? Namrata? Lohit? Anyone? You don't know how much?
0.3.
Pardon?
0.3.
Is it Rafa?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are right. Could you get it in Google?
No, sir. I just read it somewhere.
Okay, good. If at all you have just remembered and gave the answer, very good. So, but 71% of the carbon you find them dissolved in the ocean. Look at this particular figure that is related to the carbon cycle. You know, whenever these plants and animals respire, what will happen? Carbon dioxide from these plants and animals goes to the atmosphere. Whatever the diagram you have in your book, is it this is the same what you have, or you have different diagram?
Same, sir.
Same, sir.
Arrow mark, any difference is there in any arrow mark? No? No difference?
Yes, sir. There's one arrow mark which is different.
From where to where?
Burning of forest fuel wood, it's towards carbon dioxide in atmosphere.
So you mean, where's my pen? Yeah, you mean this one? With me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it releases the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, not uses the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere to burn. And do you have anything? During respiration by both the plants and animals, you see that carbon dioxide gets released to the atmosphere. But at the same time, carbon dioxide is also utilized by the green plants for the synthesis of food, what is known as photosynthesis. Much of the carbon dioxide that is released to the atmosphere is utilized by these plants, is utilized by the trees for the purpose of food synthesis, photosynthesis. That is one part. Now, as you are aware, we are making use of the natural resources like oil, gas, etc., or coal for the purpose of getting energy, for running the vehicles, for running the factories and all. So, what it does, when we burn this oil, gas, coal, etc., lot of carbon dioxide gets released to the atmosphere because of combustion. Combustion of fossil fuels, whatever petroleum products, diesel, etc. These are all fossil fuels, including that of the coal. So, these combustion of fossil fuels for vehicles, electricity, heat, etc. Because of this, the carbon dioxide gets into the atmosphere, released into the atmosphere. And also, burning of the forest, fuel wood, and other organic debris, they all release this carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Whenever this carbon dioxide gets into the atmosphere that much, no doubt there is systematic diffusion of this carbon dioxide into the ocean. Here, some of this carbon dioxide is utilized by the aquatic plants for photosynthesis, right? So it results in the synthesis of a fixation of carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide gets dissolved in the water, forms a carbonic acid, and some amount they get converted to carbonates also. And some of these are deposited in the form of calcium carbonate calcareous sediments. You see some amount gets deposited. Whenever these aquatic plants and planktons, etc., they respire, some amount of this carbon dioxide gets released to the first here to the water, from there it gets released to the atmosphere. So, if you look into that, of course, some amount gets deposited from limestone into dolomite in the crust of this earth. If you look into this, in one way, if you see that how much is removed from the reservoir, that much is returned to the atmosphere. How much is removed, that much is returned. You must know that the biogeochemical cycle broadly is of three types. Apart from depending upon the reservoir, otherwise, based on the efficient functioning of this, biogeochemical cycle is of three types. One is perfect cycle. Example, carbon cycle. Another one is less perfect cycle. Example is nitrogen cycle. And the third one is imperfect cycle. Example is phosphorus cycle. Three cycles: perfect, less perfect, imperfect. Perfect carbon, less perfect nitrogen, imperfect phosphorus cycle. Clear? Understood? Right? Kanisa,
Yes, sir.
repeat my sentence.
Carbon cycle is perfect. Uh, Phosphorus cycle is imperfect, and nitrogen cycle is less perfect.
Less perfect. So if you look into carbon cycle, therefore carbon cycle is the best example for perfect cycle. Clear? Right? Fossil fuel also represent a reservoir of carbon. So not only the atmosphere, even the fossil fuel is a reservoir of carbon. Carbon cycling occurs through atmosphere, ocean, and through living and dead organisms. According to one estimate, 4 into 10 to the power of 13 kg, very important figure, of carbon is fixed in the biosphere through photosynthesis annually. That much of carbon gets fixed through photosynthesis. Unfortunately, we don't realize this importance of this producer, green plants. The very existence of human being on this earth, our existence on this earth, very fact of our existence on this earth is dependent on plants. We want the plants to give us food. We want the plants to give us the vital breathing gas, air, oxygen. But what are we doing? What are we doing? Mercilessly, we are involved in deforestation. Mercilessly, we are cutting the trees. It is just like cutting the udder of the cow, which gives every day about 20 kg liter of milk. We never bother. We never have the time to look into that. Only it is because of these green plants we are existing today. Whatever the carbon dioxide we are getting released to the atmosphere, not only by the respiration that we show, even by the excessive use of fossil fuel, most of this carbon dioxide is systematically utilized by these green plants, and in turn they gave us oxygen to breathe. Is it correct on our part to destroy these producers, which are lifeline for us? None of us, we are seriously thinking about that. We never bother about future. If at all, our elders have not taken that much of a pain to plant these trees, or if at all they have not used sustainably, whether it would have been possible for us to live today? My dear friends, please remember, a day will come, as I have been repeatedly telling, you may have to keep one oxygen small cylinder in your bag with a connection to one of your nose, one of the nostrils of your nose. Anyhow, so this is what, according to one estimate, 4 into the power of 10 to the 13 kg of carbon is fixed in the biosphere through photosynthesis annually. A considerable amount of carbon returns to the atmosphere as a CO2 through respiratory activities of the producers and consumers. Decomposers also contribute substantially to a carbon dioxide pool by their processing of waste material and dead organic matter of land or ocean. Bacteria and fungi also play an important role whenever they decompose the body. Substantial amount of carbon dioxide gets released. Some amount of the fixed carbon is lost to sediments and removed from circulation. That's what I've shown you, the limestone, dolomite, etc. Right? Burning of wood, forest fire, and combustion of organic matter, fossil fuel, volcanic activity, these are all additional source for releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Human activities have significantly influenced the carbon cycle. As I already told you, we are making much use of these fossil fuels, coal, etc. for running our vehicles, factories. More than that, rapid deforestation, cutting of the trees, and massive burning of a fossil fuel for energy and transport have significantly increased the rate of release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So, about this, we are going to study again more in the last chapter, that environmental issues. Right? Do you have any doubt anywhere? Hello? Come on, who will tell me in nutshell about carbon cycle as you have grasped it? At least some of you must start. I'm waiting for you.
Sir, 49% of dry weight has carbon in it, and 71% of carbon is found in oceans. Oceanic reservoir regulates the amount of carbon dioxide.
In the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Then
4 into 10 to the power 13 kg of carbon is fixed annually through photosynthesis.
fine. Yes, anyone else, please continue.
Sir,
Yes, come on. Karkira.
the decomposers contribute to the CO2. cycle of biosphere. Even the burning of fossil fuels, burning of woods, deforestation, all this contribute to the increase of CO2 in the atmosphere.
Okay. Come on, what else? What else you have studied now?
The
Yes.
carbon returns to atmosphere as carbon dioxide, and producers intake carbon dioxide, and producers are very important to us.
Yes, Rafa.
Then all the points they covered, sir.
Is it? Have any of you mentioned that how what is happening to the atmosphere carbon dioxide, how it is maintained in one balance?
Yes, we give out carbon dioxide and producers intake it.
Okay, I agree. That much of carbon dioxide gets released to the atmosphere every day. How that much of carbon dioxide is managed to maintain the balance level?
It gets dissolved in the ocean, sir.
Yeah, it gets dissolved in ocean, diffuse, and from the ocean, whenever it comes down, it gets released to the atmosphere. So ocean has a very important role. Therefore, ocean contains, and I said one sentence, what is that? Which regulates the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? It is the ocean. The carbon that is present in the ocean, that regulates the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay? Now, we shall move to the next part of our study, that is the phosphorus cycle. Why that phosphorus is so important? You know, phosphorus is major constituent of biological membrane. Nucleic acid and cellular energy. How you say that it is major constituent of biological membrane? Lohit? Elaborate this point. Phosphorus is a major component of biological membrane. What is that? Lohit?
Yes, sir.
Come on, can you elaborate on that? Where this phosphorus is present in biological membrane? What is a biological membrane? Can you give me the example of biological membrane? Anyone? Nadira?
Yes, sir.
Can you give me an example for biological membrane?
The deep bone.
Savitri? Tanusri? Kavita? Jayasri? Anyone?
Sir, is it cell membrane?
Then what? Then what? Biological membrane is mainly cell membrane, plasma membrane. Where in the plasma membrane come across phosphorus? What is the structure of plasma membrane? It has what it has? It has a bilayered. What is there?
Lipids.
Lipid. What type of lipid it is? Phospholipid. Lecithin. Phospholipid. So phosphorus is a major constituent of biological membrane like a plasma membrane. Each and every cell has a plasma membrane. It is found of phosphorus. Phospholipid. And you also know that nucleic acid has phosphate. Where it has phosphate?
Phosphate group.
Pardon?
Phosphate group.
Where? Where it is present?
DNA and RNA.
DNA and RNA. In DNA, where it is present?
Nucleotides.
Nucleotide. You know, base plus sugar.
Backbone of the
Base plus sugar, it forms together.
backbone.
Together it is called
Nucleoside.
nucleoside. Nucleoside plus phosphate called
Nucleotide.
many nucleotides join to form polynucleotide and ultimately DNA. What do you mean by that? Phosphorus is major concept cellular energy? Cellular energy transfer system. What do you mean by that? What is that? What is the energy that you get? In what form you get?
ATP.
ATP. So cellular energy transfer system includes the currency of the cell. What is the currency of the cell? ATP. So therefore, phosphorus is a major constituent of a biological membrane, nucleic acids, and cellular energy transfer system. Many animals also need large quantities of this element to make a shell, to make bone, to make teeth. Even your bone, your teeth is made of phosphorus. Not only that, phosphorus is important component of a biological membrane, nucleic acid, and cellular energy transfer system. It also is important component of our bone, our teeth. Right? Now let us look at what is the natural reservoir. The natural reservoir of phosphorus is a rock. Do you know what is that rock called? Do you know what is that rock called? I hope you know. We are extensively using this phosphorus in our agriculture field. Do you know? How? In what form you use? What is the major component constituent of your fertilizer bags? What is the major component of your fertilizer bag? The full bag with the fertilizers, inorganic fertilizers. What are the three major components? Major elements?
Nitrogen,
Huh?
phosphorus,
Huh?
potassium,
Yeah? What is that simply called?
NPK.
NPK. NPK is a major constituent of all inorganic fertilizers that we are putting to the crops. From where you get this phosphate required by these farmers? In the nature, we get the phosphorus in two ways, no doubt. In the wild, in the forest, whenever these animals and plants they die, the body undergoes decomposing. Each and every cell undergoes decomposing. At that time, certain amount of phosphorus gets released by the decomposing of nucleic acids, by the decomposing of the plasma membrane, and slow decomposition of these harder structures like bones, teeth, etc. But it is only a little bit that is available in the nature that plants make use of that one. But for the fertilizers that we are getting, we are putting into the soil. From where we get this phosphate? Of course, with regard to the nitrogen, you have that nitrate bacteria, and so many other sources are there that we are using it. With regard to phosphorus, with regard to phosphate, from where we get? The natural reservoir of phosphorus is the rock, phosphate rock, phosphorus rock, which contains phosphorus in the form of phosphates. In the form of phosphates. What is this rock called? It has a particular name. Have you heard about that? Have you heard about this rock of phosphate? Right? Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see this? Can you see some people doing some work here? Right? Are you seeing this one?
Yes, sir.
What do you see there? What are these? Can you make out? No? Hello, can you make out? Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is there? What is there in the background? What are these?
Birds.
Ah, birds. What these bags? These are nothing but phosphate bags. Hello. Phosphorus bags. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. This is what called guano deposits. GUANO. Guano deposits. And this forms the source of phosphorus for the entire world. Clear? Shall I continue? Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, many animals. So, the natural reservoir of phosphorus is a rock. What do you call that rock? Guano, GUA deposits. When I visited US, I could visit one of such island with guano deposits. When the rocks are weathered, that means getting broken down into small pieces. When the rocks are weathered, powdered, minute amounts of these phosphates are dissolved in soil solution and are absorbed by the roots of the plants. That is in a natural condition. In the forest or wherever these animals are there, in that time, when the rocks, if at all in between, are there, they are weathered, minute amounts of these phosphates dissolved in soil solution, they are absorbed by the roots of the plants. So this is what you have the phosphorus cycle. So in this, you can see the producers, they get the phosphate from the soil. As I told you, when the producers and the consumers die, from their body, all these, whenever that they form the detritus, you now know the definition of the detritus. When these detritus are acted upon by decomposer, that phosphate gets released into the soil. And also, as you know, from the rock minerals also by weathering and all, the soil phosphate gets released into soil, and this soil is made use by the producers. But as I told you before, how much of phosphate is removed from the atmosphere? Reservoir, atmosphere in the sense of reservoir, how much phosphorus is removed from the reservoir, that much is not returned. Therefore, Tanusri, therefore, phosphorus cycle is called Tanu. Phosphorus cycle is also called
Imperfect cycle.
imperfect cycle. Right? This is what you have the phosphorus cycle. See here. To the atmosphere. That means whatever that organisms are there in atmosphere, they get it from the mineral rock. This is the sedimentary rock, island and ocean, with full of this rock deposit. And now, how these guano rocks got formed? Why that many birds were there? Can anyone tell me? How many birds were there? And why that birds were there? And why that phosphorus rock, on that particular rock birds were there? Is there any relation between that birds and the rock? Anyone? Anyone? Ishmita?
Sir, the bones of the birds.
Not one is the bones of the bird. In fact, not only that, of course, when they die, and this guano deposit, whatever you said, it is formed due to the due to the fecal deposition. Fecal in the sense, in case of bird, the fecal matter and excretory matter goes together, and it is due to excreta of the birds. Due to the excreta of a bird, that much of a phosphate gets settled during course of millions of years. Millions of years, since millions of years, and now we are exploiting that particular mineral source. What I have shown you there, it was a phosphorus mining. It was a phosphorus mining. So in this way, you have in the land and ocean, you have sedimentary rock formed of phosphorus only. And from there, you get to that mineable rock. From that mining, it makes this phosphates available to the agricultural field and all. Right? So you see that in the ocean also, when the producers, consumers, they die, the decomposition makes this phosphate to get into the sediments. Even in the land also, it is the same thing. When the consumers and the producers die, again, decomposers act upon that. That also make it to get released to the soil. From there, it is lifted up. But as I told you, how much is removed, that much is not returned. And mining and all, it makes the fertilizers. Fertilizer, whatever you use in the form of NPK, that phosphorus comes from that of the mining. This is what another diagram pertaining to that. Okay. Now, herbivores and other animals obtain this element from plants. Herbivores and other animals obtain this element from plants. The waste products and the dead organisms are decomposed by phosphate solubilizing bacteria releasing phosphorus. Unlike a carbon cycle, there is no respiratory release of phosphorus into the atmosphere, no release from the body by respiration. Can you differentiate between carbon and phosphorus cycle? Can you differentiate between carbon and phosphorus cycle? Come on, can anyone try to differentiate carbon cycle and phosphorus cycle in whatever way you know, whatever you have studied so far? Quick. Quick. Hello? Come on, quick, anyone? Can you say the difference between the phosphorus and carbon cycle? The major difference between the carbon and phosphorus cycle is, firstly, atmospheric inputs of a phosphorus through rainfall are much smaller, almost nil, than carbon inputs. And secondly, gaseous exchanges of phosphorus between organism and environment are negligible. So if at all you are asked, what is the difference between carbon and phosphorus cycle? Give this difference. Phosphorus cycle is an example for a sedimentary cycle. Carbon cycle is an example for gaseous cycle. Phosphorus cycle, inputs provided by rainfall are very small. Carbon cycle, inputs provided by rainfall are higher. Gaseous exchange between organisms and their environment is negligible. Gaseous exchange between organisms and environment is high. Are you taking it down? Shall I go ahead? Charan? Charan, where are your friends? Hello? Sharon, you don't know. Good. Shall you continue? Now we shall look into ecosystem services. Very, very important concept for board examination also. Whether ecosystem is there in your syllabus or deleted. Kanisa,
It's there, sir.
it is there. What is this? Try to understand it. Always ask for 4 marks question, 5 marks question. 4 marks means 5 marks. Healthy ecosystems are the base for a wide range of economic, environmental, and aesthetic goods and services. Always, we should live in healthy ecosystem. You know, healthy ecosystem to operate in any part of the world requires 33% of forest coverage. Forest coverage. Now, what we get from the ecosystem? Healthy ecosystems are the base for a wide range of economic, environmental, and aesthetic goods and services. For our economic benefit, to have good environment and aesthetic goods and services. What do you mean by this aesthetic goods and services? I'll explain. It's the beauty of the nature that we enjoy. It is a service that the nature that gives us to us. The products of ecosystem are named as ecosystem services. The products of ecosystem processes. You may come across in one place forest, in another place a desert, in one more place this grassland. So each and every ecosystem has its own production. You know, if at all you are going to some part of the desert, whether it's in India, what is the desert in India called? Desert of India is called? Hello?
Thar.
Hello? Who is this?
Blessy.
Blessy. God bless you. Thar. If you go to Thar, or if you go to Sahara, where is the Sahara? Sahara Desert? Africa. If you go to Arizona, wherever you go, you'll be charged. You will not be allowed to go simply there. The products of ecosystem processes are named as ecosystem services, for example. Many times you may go to Ooty, Kodaikanal. Why? Why? Just to see the beauty of healthy forest ecosystem. And we go to this forested area, maybe Coorg, Madikeri, or you may go to some part of this Western Ghat, Kudremukh National Park area, or some forest near Someshwara. Healthy forest ecosystems always gives us beauty on the one hand, but healthy forest ecosystems purify air, water, mitigate droughts, minimize droughts and floods, and cycle nutrients, generate fertile soils, provide wildlife habitat, maintain biodiversity, pollinate crops, provide storage site for carbon, and also provide aesthetic, cultural, and spiritual values. Very, very beautiful paragraph. My dear students, with the blessings of God Almighty, I got an opportunity to live 25 years of my life in the forested area. I was very much inside the Western Ghat, very close to the Kudemukha National Park area. That is, I lived much of my life at Sringeri. How much beautifully purified air you get there to breathe, you cannot imagine. Those who are staying here at Bangalore or those who are staying at Mangalore now, Udupi, no, you don't get such a pure air what we breathe there. I think you might have heard. You might have heard. Tunga Panam Ganga Snanam. What is that? What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? Tunga river water is for drinking. Ganga river water is for bathing. When I lived at Sringeri right from 1976 to 2000, 25 years, we used to go very often. I ran one adventure club for nearly 9 years. It was named Sringeri Nature Adventure Club. I have abbreviated it as all you like very much. What you like very much? Namrata? You like very much? What? What? Snacks. Sringeri Nature Adventure Club. Nature Club, Adventure Club. I used to take the students in this particular club almost every month to one or the other places. They are members of this club. I had nearly 400 plus members. We used to go every alternate or every month or alternate month into one or the other forested area, stay there for 4 to 5 days, tent there, cook there, breathe there, bath there, dine there, dance there. Enjoying the pure air, drinking the pure mineral water, not a mineral water, whatever that's available to you in a Bisleri bottle. Real mineral water is that mineral water. You do not know. If at all you go and make it a point to stay there in that atmosphere for 3 to 4 days, your immune system boosts up. That is what the forest ecosystem, healthy forest ecosystem gives you. Are you hearing me? Canis, are you hearing me? Nadira?
Yes, sir.
Vishwita? Tanu? Prithvi?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
these forests mitigate drought. How you say that they mitigate drought and flood? Whenever there is a sufficient rainfall because of the forest, river will be always in the water only. No question of drought condition. And there will not be a flood because when the rain falls, the rainwater first falls on the trees. From the tree, the rain water slowly percolates down, drops down, and there will be ample of time for the soil to absorb that water. The water leaches out gradually to the deeper columns. So healthy forest ecosystem also helps in cycle nutrients, generate fertile soil, provide habitat for wildlife, maintain biodiversity, pollinate crops, provide storage site for carbon, in the sense enable photosynthesis, and also provide aesthetic, cultural and spiritual values. My dear friends, you might have heard recently, just a year back and also now also sometimes. You know, people of Delhi have started going to a shop where they get some air to breathe. Have you heard about that? What is that shop? How much they have to pay for how many minutes? Duty? Have you heard about this?
No, sir.
No? Anyone? Namrata, Prithvi, Rakesh, Aisha, Vismita. Anyone? Nadira. Anyone have you heard about that?
Yes, sir.
Who is that? Who is this?
Nadira.
Nadira, tell me. Do you know what is that? What you have heard?
Means I have only heard that the oxygen is provided in different flares, sir, but I don't know the cost.
15 minutes, 300 rupees. They charge for 15 minutes, 300 charge. For 1 minute, how much charge? For 1 minute? For 1 minute? 20 rupees. For 1 minute, 20 rupees. Okay, Nadira, this is what oxygen shop, O2 shops, they use to provide the pure oxygen for the people and enter there, sit there for 15 minutes, breathe in the oxygen for 15 minutes, shed 300 rupees and come back. Nadira,
Yes, sir.
Nadira,
Yes.
Nadira,
Yes, sir.
you are now in your sweet 16. Am I right? Am I right?
What, sir?
You have crossed 16 years. Always girls will be always with the 16 years. Okay? Like that. Now, right from your birth up to now, how much money you may have to give to the nature for breathing oxygen? Are you understand my point? Not only you, me, Blessy, everyone. If at all we calculate how much air we have breathed so far, if at all we have to pay 20 rupees for 1 minute, how much we may have to owe to this environment? You just know you are giving for 1 liter 20 rupees for distilled water. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Nature has given you such a potable water, drinking water, since from our birth. You forget, sir, you are asking how much I have to pay to the nature for breathing at 16 years. How much you have to give, sir? Nadira, you may ask me also. Am I right? Am I right? Definitely. Both of us, we owe to nature that much. That is what we have to keep it in mind. For breathing pure air, for drinking pure water, for eating pure food, how much we may have to give money to the nature? Who is, what sir, what you started talking about all there in the nature for us only? Do you say like that? Namrata, do you say like that? Lohit,
No, sir.
is it that all these are there in the nature for us only? We are the supreme, You are the lords, landlord. You are the landlord. Because of these trees, we are getting all this. Are we in a position to do anything? Nothing. The nature will be very happy on the day. The nature will be very happy on the day. When? 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 When it will be very happy? Nature will be very happy because we are spoiling the nature to that extent. When it will be happy? Come on.
When
the
humans
nature,
will be extinct.
when humans will be extinct.
Extinct.
When humans become extinct, nature will be very happy. Don't think that the only useless creature on this earth, without having any responsibilities, without realizing its duties, without realizing the duties, is the only selfish, most cruel, ungrateful creature that is, that is, that is Kanisa, Rafa, Aisha, GKB. Am I right? Am I right? We are all like that. Nature will not bother if at all we die. nature is very happy. Is it not our duty to safeguard the nature? So it provides us aesthetic value. So much beauty we enjoy. Everything, whatever you see that beauty in that and you enjoy. It is not that we enjoy the beauty in person. We enjoy the beauty in the bird. We enjoy the beauty in the nature. We by seeing the big, huge banyan tree, we enjoy. Oh, so nice tree. By looking at the birds, we enjoy. By looking at the butterflies, we enjoy. By looking at each and every thing in and around us, we get some sort of a mental happiness. This is what you call aesthetic value. I hope you understand my point. You understand my point? That is why we go to Himalayas, we go to these sightseeing places just to just get the happiness. And cultural. There are so many cultural values. We respect fire, we respect water, we respect this wind in the name of one or the other God. And spiritual values. Many times by just sitting quiet in one particular calm and quiet place, we get to so much happiness. You can't evaluate. Though value of such a services biodiversity is difficult to determine, it seems reasonable to think that biodiversity should carry a hefty price tag. Yes, one person came forward. One person came forward to just put a price tag. Whether we are paying to the nature or different. Whether we cannot pay it at all. Whether we are paying to the nature is different. But a person has come forward. Who is that? Robert Constanza. Robert Constanza and his colleagues have very recently tried to put a price tag on the nature's life support services. Nature's life support services. That means whatever we are getting from the nature for our existence, that is nature's life support service. Getting water is a service. Getting air to breathe is a service. Getting food to eat is a service. Getting living space is a service. Happiness is a service. Researchers have put an average price tag of US dollar 33 trillion. 33 trillion. You have to put 12 zeros. 33 trillion a year. You have to pay that much to the nature. On these the fundamental ecosystem services which are largely taken for granted. We have taken it for granted. Yes, yeah, food is there. Yeah, water is there. Yeah, space is there. Why should I bother? We have taken it for granted. I think Namrata, at the time of taking bath, have you ever thought how much water I should use? Have you ever thought how much water you are using?
No, sir.
So we have to think, is it 1 bucket of water is required? 2 bucket of water is required? How much you can take? We never bother because water is there. You know, in Cape Town, there is a ration for water. Every person was given only 5 liters of water. Have you heard about that? Every person was given only 5 liters of water per day. Rafa, Rafa, Rafa.
Yes, sir.
If at all you are given only 5 liters of water per day, what you do?
I'll try to save it as much as possible.
With the 5 liters, what you will do? You know, Rakesh,
Yes, sir.
5 liters water, we just waste that much water in our washrooms every day. How you will manage your bath? How you will wash your clothing? How you cook your food? How you are going to wash your utensils? Is it possible with 5 liters, Rafa?
No, sir.
But in one place, that much of ration is already started in the world. So, We are taking now everything granted that we need not pay for that. We need not pay for that because they are all free. This is nearly twice the value of global gross national product GNP, which is in that US dollar 18 trillion. All these are very important. How much you have to pay, and when what particular purpose is that. Besides, out of the total cost of various ecosystem services, out of the total cost of various ecosystem service includes getting air from the atmosphere, getting food from the atmosphere, getting water, getting living space, getting perfectly conditioned soil. Out of the total cost of various ecosystem services, the soil formation itself accounts for about 50%. The mere soil formation costs 50% of whatever that value that we have just calculated. But you know what we are doing? By cutting the trees in the forest, by cutting the trees everywhere, wherever we come across, we are making the land area to just get directly exposed to rainfall, and the top soil, whatever that you see, which we say that it requires 1,000 years to form the humus that gets easily eroded during the rainy season. 50% of this expenditure, whatever is taken, it is related to the soil formation. Soil formation accounts for 50%, and contributions of other services like recreation, nutrient cycling are less than 10%. Therefore, is it not that? Is it not that therefore, unnecessarily, we should not cut any trees? Unnecessarily, we should not even trim the soil surface. Leave it. The best method is that even if at all we are going to do agriculture like that, as far as possible, we should leave the soil undisturbed. Let there are microorganisms be there. If at all you are going to cut any of these weeds and all, we have to put the weed there only. We have to allow it to undergo natural decomposition. The cost of climate regulation and habitat for wildlife are about 6% each. So all these values, whatever is mentioned there, what is 10%, what is 6%, what is 50%, what is 30 back here, 33%, 33 billion, 20 billion, that you have to know. Okay? Right? Clear? Understood?